Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends. And as you can see, folks, I'm a little red in the face, not because I've been drinking. This is the sun. They got me good today. I was out in 102-degree weather. I didn't put on any sunscreen. I wasn't wearing any hats. I went to the gym, did a bunch of shopping, had some errands to do, and I came back and I'm like, my God, I got actually sunburned. This is crazy. It is still, I won't say it was, it's still hot as hell itself. And thankfully, we're going to get a reprieve for the next couple of days because it's supposed to get only into the 70s. Thank you. Good gracious, because it's just too hot. But folks, there's not a lot of things happening with news. We are going to get into Gamescom because, again, you got my thoughts on theories on it. But I want to get Hargeet's thoughts on what Xbox could show up because, again, it's one of those things where they could literally just take what they did in June, move it to August, and a lot of the audience there is probably going to like it. I won't like that. I think that they need to show up and show out, but we'll get what Hargeet has to say and Kay Asante. Halo Studios, folks, they have been incredibly silent the last year since new leadership has taken over. Again, there is not a lot of news out there. We're gonna try and there is one big piece of Halo news that I think is probably the best heartfelt story of the year, especially when you consider how a lot of these companies just want to make their money, and we've seen what Nintendo has done to fan created content in the past. We'll get to what that is. And I kind of want to just do like a roundtable discussion with the chat and with the panel about what do you expect for Halo, because we got some information I think it was last week that there are some new books coming out where it's going to contain, and it's a self-contained Halo and Cortana story, and it's taking place right after the end of Halo Infinite. And reading some of the stuff that they're going to be doing, the adventures they're going to have, I kind of feel, man, I think Kay will agree with me, we got shortchanged, man. I really wanted some DLC. We'll get into that, and we'll kind of just, toy around with the idea of what you as the fan want, because this is the flagship, title for Xbox, even though it's, kind of taken a backseat to Call of Duty and so many other titles in the last couple of years. But Harky Chani, how you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Yeah. Let's get into the fun. There's always more things going on, right?
there really is. Again, Gamescom happening in August 20th to the 24th. Again, it's an opportunity. I said this the other day, and I think most people will agree. It is an opportunity for Xbox to keep boot on neck. They have done a really good job this year staying in the zeitgeist of the conversation. People are excited about the brand. What they're doing with the handhelds later this year has been a big part of the conversation. Next generation coming 2026, we don't know. But again, there are three major showcases, Kayasante, happening later this year. Gamescom leads it. In August, September, or at least late September, you have the Tokyo Game Show, and in December, you have the Keeleys. And we don't know what's going to happen, but again, it's three more big shows that Xbox doesn't have to run, but they certainly could bring their wares. How you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
I am good, man, and yeah, man, this is going to be an interesting year. I was there last year, and man, oh man, if even a half of what is there this year was there last year, it will be a very interesting show. I'll start there.
You know what? Do me a favor while we're on the subject of it. You had explained to me that basically Xbox had half of Gamescom.
Yeah.
So explain to the audience, because I don't think a lot of people know that they literally showed up in a big way.
Yeah. So people usually, for those who've been to the likes of your PAX East, PAX West, all those kind of events, right? Huge event hall, right? And lots of wares, lots of different both tchotchkes and things you buy, and folks are trying to get you to play games, and it's a huge open space event hall, right? And that's usually what those things are, and you just roam through it, and it's very fun, and you get to meet people and all that. That's the idea of those events, right? This one is an event the size of a football field, like pretty much the size of a football field. Right?
Wow.
And there are about, I think, 10 different halls in this one location, 10 football fields in this one location. So like one side is where all of the card games and board games live. And when you go there, it's a sea of, card games and board games and vendors trying to sell you new stuff. That's where actually I went and I hung out with the folks from Xbox Era when they were introducing Console Wars, right? So there's that. And then there's another section where there's nothing but indies. And I'm talking about a sea of indie vendors. Hey, come play my game, right? And I'm talking about each of these are huge football stadium size, like rooms where people get to have small what do you call them, kiosks, if you will, on the floor, right? Microsoft's Xboxes was hall 3, and that football size hall, the entire hall belonged to them.
Holy cow.
The crazy thing, right? Like every other hall, yeah, you have like huge representatives from this company or that company, but it's like, oh, here's Capcom over here, and here's Ubisoft over here, and here's this person, here's that. But Microsoft's hall had all of them under the Microsoft banner.
Wow. Like
it was insane. I'm a 6 foot tall man. I'm 240 some odd pounds. I'm a big man. There's a Game Pass like sign that was plastered on a wall. The G was bigger than me.
Wow.
They were there in a big way. Like financially, I would love to see some of the estimations of how much they spent, because it's like, I'm talking like studios amounts of money was spent to get this thing the way it looked. It was wild, just wild. Yes.
Well, again, we're going to get into what your, gentlemen, what your expectations are for the show. I want to get the chat involved in that as well, because I think that I have some inkling, not that I heard anything, but just one particular event that was announced. We'll get into that later on, second half of the show, why I think this is going to be like a really, really big deal, and why they might actually have some surprises. But you know what, gentlemen, chat, let's get into what I believe is one of the best feel-good stories of the year. If there is one thing that I love about the industry, is fan-made content, because there are people who have unbelievable skills. They just don't work for Xbox, or they don't work for Halo Studios, or they don't work for PlayStation Studios, or even Nintendo for that matter. And one of the things that we've seen happen more often than not, especially bringing up Nintendo, is cease and desist orders where someone is passionate about Mario, and it means so much to them that they decided they wanted to make their own game. And instead of embracing that and having, this person or this talented team come in and work hand in hand with Nintendo, more often than not, and you see what's happening with Pal World right now, Nintendo lawyers up, they add the cease and desist orders, and they shut these things down. We've seen it a dozen times with Nintendo. I can say I've seen that with PlayStation, to be quite fair. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. I also haven't seen a lot of fan-made content for PlayStation stuff. And if it's out there and maybe I missed it, please, drop it in my DMs so I can take a look at it, because I love seeing. I mean, these are even beneath indies, where these people are spending their own money to make these things. They're spending hundreds and hundreds of hours. Well, where I'm going with this is, again, the best feel-good story of the year. And I just want to pause for a second and say, you've heard me say this before. I think I said it yesterday. Vampire Survivors by Ponicle is one of my favorite IPs in the last 10 years. It's a game that no matter what day you're having, you can pick up this game and play for 15 minutes or 3 hours and have one heck of a time. And obviously, this franchise was birthed because the designer, Ponicle, has always been a fan of Konami and Castlevania. And that was what inspired him to make this, Vampire Survivors. So obviously, his dream came true many, many years later, and he has partnered with him. There was a Contra DLC. There was the Ode to Castlevania DLC. Both absolutely incredible. But what we're going to talk about is Spartan Survivors, ladies and gentlemen. Now, that may not sound familiar to a lot of people in the chat, but what it is basically Master Chief, and it's Master Chief or Halo meets Vampire Survivors. So this is a passion project by a very small team. They've been working on this game for quite some time. According to I'm going to read directly from their Twitter account. It says, fight hordes of Covenant and Flood in this new game mixing roguelite and bullet heaven for hours of mindless fun. Available now. Now it is currently available. I think you can download it. I'm not sure if it's on Steam yet, but I think you can download it in the browser. Well, why this story is worth talking about is because they tweeted yesterday, that Halo Studios, Xbox, and Microsoft has given them the blessing to go and to release this game. It's not even a partnership. Look, I'm gonna read it verbatim. Here is the presser from the Spartan Survivors Twitter account. It says, breaking: Halo Studios has reached out to us and ... we have their blessing to keep moving forward with our game. Thank you for the support and appreciation. This will not be forgotten. So I want to read what Halo Studios actually had to say to the small team. It says this, and I quote, "Really love to see the passion you and your team have poured into this experience. It really is fun, and we look forward to getting further in our playthrough and unlocking more stuff." And that's a quote from a representative of Halo Studios. I mean, Hargeet, again, I don't know if this game is gonna be the indie game of the year, because they're not even, I don't know if they're even gonna sell it. I know that there is a planned release for Xbox. There is also a planned release for Steam. So it is going to be coming to these two platforms. I don't know if they are going to sell it. But again, some additional context, Hargeet, to what they said about Halo Studios. They say this: to make sure that the game will always stay compliant, they have requested us to add a minor update to the legal disclaimer in the game's credit and the store pages. This will be available in our next update, and we want to thank Halo Studios and Microsoft for their real sympathy towards us. I mean, again, probably not the biggest story that you're going to hear on other podcasts. I thought it just so happened to land right as if I wanted to talk with Halo, but Hargeet, this is great. Again, you've seen what Nintendo does to fan-made content. They destroy it. They lock it down, and they send out these orders to cease and desist, and they lawyer up. I got to be honest with you. I think that Xbox and Halo Studios and even Microsoft getting involved and saying, no, this is an amazing piece of art. Go for it. I just think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, so Microsoft actually has a published, or Xbox, I guess, but either way, it's Microsoft, has a published game content usage rules. So they have rules that allow you to do this. There are certain restrictions. You can't strip assets from any game. You can't use any trademarks. But and it has to be free. You can't have commercial success from it. So it has to be a free to play thing. And outside of that, it can't do anything objectionable, right? So you can't have weird things that would sully the name of the game or something like that, right? So just think about bad content, like things like that. So you can't do that, right? So outside of that, you're allowed to do this. Ultimately, though, it is their discretion. So if you do something that does seem untoward, they may pull it, right? But mostly, Microsoft already has a published agreement that you can go ahead and use it under certain guides. You have to have these guidelines have to be followed, right? So those guidelines and they have been, right? So they've been pretty good about it with Spartan Survivors, which is a sort of Vampire Survivors equivalent, right? So
yeah.
So that's cool, and it's always good to see fan made things, and if it works out, it'd be great. So it'll be free to play for us, right? So we'll get to play it. I don't know if they have like a sort of a GoFundMe or something like that to help help them develop it or whatever. But I guess I don't know if that would meet the guidelines or not. So it's kind of an interesting thought to kind of just do a free to play fan made thing and have fun with it, right? So yeah, an interesting thing. And again, Microsoft has this; it's been there for a while. This isn't new. So they have they have an ability for you to take advantage of their IP in certain ways. Again, there are certain restrictions, but hey, this is kind of the world, right? So they allow it. I don't know if they have equivalents on the other two. I just haven't looked. I would assume Nintendo would be like a hard pass. Yep. They seem to go after everybody. But I don't know if PlayStation has an equivalent. They may. I just haven't looked, so I'm not going to say one way or the other because I just haven't looked. But I know Microsoft has had this open capability for a while. So it's cool, and it's cool to see like people, even if this became a commercial thing later on, right? Allowing somebody to explore it and say, hey, this is cool. Hey, Microsoft, would you like to make this a commercial thing? And is this something that we can then license with you or something like that, right? So it's very cool that they allow it, and then at least you get to put something out there. And if you if it becomes something cool, they can always further down the road say, hey, let's do a partnership and let's see if this is a value to us. I
would love something like that to happen. Again,
right,
we don't know what the game looks like, right? We so it could be terrible, but again, passion projects might not. This could be something special though.
It could be, and it could be like the concept is cool, and they're like, you just need a little bit of a budget, right? And that would allow you to make this like go to the next level. It's like, cool, let's see if we can do something with that, right? Which would be great, right? So so I kind of like it. I like there's obviously passion behind this IP, right? Halo is Halo. So somebody wanting to do this, obviously it shows that somebody wants to do something with this IP. Fantastic, right? So let's see what it's like. I mean, the Vampire Survivors thing kind of took for a bit there, right? They had was it Brotato, and they had there's been a couple of other ones.
It's been a couple of them,
come along, right? There was one at PAX where it was a Windows 98, I think it was Windows 95 or Windows 98, or something like that. It was equivalent to Vampire Survivors, but you were working through dialogue boxes of Windows.
That's
kind of a nutty little thing. It was rather amusing, but hey, this is the kind of thing, right? So yeah, hey, in that vein, if they have something cool here, what the heck, it's gonna be free to play. We get to play it. Why not? Let's try it out. See what happens. It's coming to the console and the PC. Why not?
So, I agree. Again, listen, it's one of those things where I love seeing stories like this, Keosante, and I love it even more when something like this releases, and as a gamer, you're like, you know what? I did not know I needed this in my life, but well, here it is. Now, granted, I have not seen the game running. I know that the people at Xbox and Halo Studios have played through it and are unlocking things that they said in the presser. And this is eventually going to release on Xbox. It's eventually going to release on Steam. We're going to get a chance to play it this year. And obviously, if you know anything about Vampire Survivors and anything about Halo, there are a lot of different sub character creatures. There's lots of different Covenant. There's lots of different Flood. So they could have a ton of like a ton of stuff on the screen at once. I don't know if you're going to get
Well,
vehicles
Boom.
attacking you.
So let me. I actually like I can help you with this a little bit. Which, if you check the private chat right now while you guys were having your conversation, I happened to go on YouTube and did the arbitrary search, and there is a tiny 55-second bit of gameplay footage showing you what you'll get. Now, I will warn you, temper your expectations. It is a survivor-like, right? And survivor-likes are very basic in their execution by and large, but maybe you want to play that for the people so you can actually see what we're talking about here. But what I will tell you is
that is a phenomenal.
It's not bad, right? It's not bad. It's not bad, right? What I will tell you is, to me, this is a wonderful PR story, right? Because let's be real, right? Business is business, and business got a business. You can't expect that every single time that somebody comes out and goes, "We just made this wonderful game for our friends," that everybody goes, "Yeah, it's no big deal." Because at the end of the day, what could happen is, if they do not enforce their copyright, that copyright could be lost, right? So, like it or not, business got a business, right? This is why no matter how many, and there are many amazing, awesome, unofficial Nintendo likes out there, and they will always be fallen by the wayside because Nintendo will protect their investment and they will make sure that you are not allowed to continue with that. It just is what it is, right? This is, the corporation, the corpos actually doing something nice for the good guy. It's pretty cool. Will it turn into the next monster thing? Probably not. Will I play it? You're darn right I will. Absolutely. Yes. But then again, that doesn't necessarily even speak to the fact that this is a great PR move. That speaks to the fact that I will say that Vampire Survivor, come fight me. Game of the generation. How many games do you know of that have likes? There are very few with likes, but so Vampire Survivor is a like now, right? Yeah. So say what you will.
Do you consider Elden Ring in that category, or do you say that Breath of the Wild kind of made that happen?
No. I would say Elden Ring is also in that category because they took some formulas from Breath of the Wild, but they also made it solely their own and put their own stamp on it. And to be fair, for those actuallys in the chat, I also know that Vampire Survivor is not unique in its creation, right? It also took ideas from games before it and doubled down and created something, wholly its own. So yes, they all feed in on each other, but I would say this ultimately speaks to the fact that it's amazing, man. And yes, I have played Hoyo Cure Save the Fans. I love that Vampire Survivor by the way. I put hours into that one. Shout out to Big Poppy Senpai. Yes, I am a big fan of the Vampire Survivor likes. So again, ultimately, this may not move the needle. This may not burn the world and how great it is or whatever, but it's great that you just let gamers, express themselves sometimes, and if it turns into something cool, then maybe you incorporate it in some way. This is great.
Well, you know what? Let me just pause this. Let me just pause this footage for a second and bring that in. And again, thank you so much for dropping that because it is 55 seconds, but it's a
small game. Yeah,
it's a small game. It is. So let me
Now the question we should ask ourselves is, with Microsoft, with Halo Studios giving them their blessing, could this lead to a further conversation of, hey, can we get some assets? Hey, can we get a little bit of this? Can we get a little bit of that?
I mean,
it is a fan-made game. You never know.
It is
right.
It is.
This was their overture to convince them that it was cool. Now that they're convinced it's cool, is there more in line where some other cool stuff happens? You know
what? I could see a Gears of War light type of game.
Wow.
I mean, cool. I'm sorry. That just sounds yes, and yes. But I'm going to take us out and play the footage, folks. Again, 55 seconds. Thanks, courtesy of Spartan Survivor. Thanks to Kay Asante. Here you go, folks.
Yeah.
Now I shut off the music because it is licensed music. So
and the funny thing is, while this is going and you're playing this, you hear the Master Chief's voice and you hear all the sound effects and all that. It's a cool little thing, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. I see what they were going for,
I mean, again, it's basic in its design, but I think it looks cool, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I again, it's one of those feel good stories. There's the Covenant. There's, they have like separate, they're not designed in a way where
Mhm.
it's listen, it's a fan made game using Halo.
Yeah.
What is not to like about that, ladies and gentlemen? So there you go,
Mhm.
folks. There is Spartan Survivors. Thank you, Kay Asante, for that. It's I just think that's
Yeah.
brilliant. I'm happy that it exists. So I'm just going to stop sharing the screen.
Mhm.
And look, at the end of the day, again, a feel-good story. The corporation could have, did what corporations do and shut it down. They didn't. They gave it the blessing. It's coming out. It's going to be free to play. And I hope that Kay is onto something here where something small that's fan-made gets a budget, gets invited into ID at Xbox. Like, hey, let's work together. This is a brilliant idea. And what I want to do, gentlemen, is I want to segue into just.
Oh, boom! We're still not on the screen, by the way. All we have is the footage.
I did not realize that. Well, there you go. Let's bring us back.
There you go.
Hey, there we go. Okay. So we might talk about that. Zach Riley brought it up, and I believe Roland Prescott just mentioned it. So there is a tweet from Xbox about Grand Theft Auto being able to be wishlist, Grand Theft Auto 6. I went and looked, and you saw Stein retweeting it saying, hell yeah, and a bunch of people retweeting it. But what you didn't see was PlayStation tweeting about being able to wishlist Grand Theft Auto 6 on the PS5. Why? I was talking to Hargeet. We don't know if it's anything. We don't know, but the one thing we will agree on is GTA 6 is going to be so big, it does not need one master marketer. I think that if it's an open, hey, you want to market the game, market the game. I don't know if they're taking any money from PlayStation. I know that was the rumor, but it's.
Do you mind if I tinfoil Koofy real quick?
Please, no. I mean, this is one of those wild conversations.
Because this is the first time I'm hearing this.
Yes.
And what this tells me is, because remember, historically, when PlayStation has the marketing rights, you're not even allowed to like smell its name, let alone say
that is correct. That is
so.
Correct.
This tells me they don't have marketing rights. They don't have exclusivity rights, because if they did, Microsoft could not even say its name, at least not yet.
That's true.
That is notable, right? That is historically, they were not allowed to do that. Right now, I know people have been having these back and forths about, well, maybe they because they have Call of Duty, now they're in a position to negotiate, and now it's an open and blah blah blah. There's a lot of reasons why that could be, right? Maybe GTA, like you just say, being a big enough monster that no one person can hold on to it, right? Yeah, well, which is true. But hey, who knows?
Please allow me to wear the Koofy, because this is odd.
Mm-hmm.
This tweet, ladies and gentlemen, from Xbox has been pinned to their official Twitter account on Xbox.
Ooh,
and it says wishlist now. There's a link. Grand Theft Auto 6 coming May 26, 2026. It already has 14,000 likes. Let's look at the stats here. These stats are just going to be crazy. So I can't even get the stats. I know it's got it's got 1,400 retweets, 14,000 likes, 301 comments. Let's go into the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is one of those. Hey, listen, we're here, folks. So let's go for it. We have everyone talking about this, and there is a tweet here from Stein saying, hell yeah. So, I mean, wow. I don't know. It's
well, I just went to the PlayStation site, and you can wishlist it.
You can, but did they advertise it though? They didn't, which is odd.
I don't know. Yeah,
odd. I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah,
interesting.
So did they ever advertise it? That's a good question.
You know what? I went to see if they tweeted about it today. They did not. I went all the way back until a couple of days ago. I went back as far as the 20th of June. I did not see anything. But I mean, again, folks, this could be a ginormous nothing burger. But of course, Zach Riley, shout out to you, brother. He actually didn't DM me. He emailed me because I asked him to send me the link. I did. I looked at it, and what wasn't done before, it wasn't pinned to the Xbox official Twitter account. It was just posted. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it has officially been pinned by Xbox. That is very odd.
Some folks in the chat are saying that the Sony advertised it through their emails, right?
Hmm.
So I guess, like, again, the speculation here isn't that one has marketing rights versus another. It's
Right.
just notable because historically, when one has marketing rights over another, you are then the other is no longer allowed to speak about it.
And
You
that's
can't
specifically
mention
Sony,
its existence.
Yes.
Right? And today, everyone's mentioning it, right? Both sides in their own way. One is email and one through social media, which tells us that if there is marketing, it's equal opportunity. No one has, at least not now. I mean, obviously the tail is long. We shall see what happens between now and 2026. But at least right now, it's all fair game. That's cool.
That's
interesting.
Again, it's an interesting tidbit because Kay's onto something. Usually, especially a game is this big, and we've seen this happen with games when Call of Duty, for instance, before it was owned by Microsoft and Xbox had given up those marketing rights. Sony had full run to do all their marketing before anyone was able to talk about, specifically Xbox. And this is going to be, make no mistake, the biggest game of next year. It might be the biggest game of this generation. Hell, it might be the biggest game ever.
Also understand, though, to be fair, right? The reason why we say this is equal opportunity, because when they showed some of the game footage, where did they show it on? The PS5.
PS5. Very
right?
interesting.
PS5 Pro, actually. So there's that, right? It's very equal opportunity, which is interesting because historically it hasn't been.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's great points. Again, shout out to the chat for bringing it up. Again, it's a small tidbit of conversation, but I want to focus our attention on the lack of information for Halo as a brand. Folks, look, we know that Halo Infinite multiplayer is still going strong, right? I stopped playing it, to be honest with you. It's not because it's bad. It's because I got really addicted to Call of Duty, and you can only play so many multiplayers, in a week. I like playing Call of Duty. It's fast. It has stupid characters that I like to buy, and such is life. Halo, I have, I think, 20-something days in multiplayer. I love Halo Infinite. It's my favorite of all time. In fact, it's become my favorite over 3, and 3 for decades was my favorite multiplayer of the Halo series. And that now has been replaced with Infinite. I haven't been back. But, again, not the biggest topic of the show for sure. But it's just, man, I mean, a couple of Sundays ago, we all celebrated Xbox and their showcase. And I know I sound like a spoiled brat. I'm probably gonna sound like a spoiled gamer when I say this. My complaints for the show, even though I gave it a 9 out of 10, weren't the games that were there. They were the games that weren't there. And that's me being a spoiled gamer. I totally get that. The one game, well, I mean, there's a couple of games I really wanted there, and one is never going to happen, or maybe it will. Banjo-Kazooie, yes, I said it, but the one game I wanted to know something about was Halo. I know that next year is going to be, they're going to show up in a big way because apparently the Trinity is releasing in 1 year. The very pillars that make up what Xbox is, Gears, Halo, Forza, are all getting new iterations next year. It's brilliant. It's I mean, my God, could you have written a better story for your 25th anniversary? I don't think you could have, to be quite fair. But Halo Studios has been running silent for quite a bit. And I really thought that we were going to get some sort of an update, Hargeet. We got nothing. We haven't heard a story. We haven't heard from the head of the studio. Ever since they've changed the name, head down, working on the content. And I'm not complaining about that at all, folks. I actually think that's quite brilliant. Don't say anything. There's no expectations and just work. And what they're working on apparently is a remake to Combat Evolved. We know that. But the question is, after Halo Combat Evolved remake, remaster, 2.0, whatever you want to call it, where does Halo go from there? Because we know that they're writing stories still. We talked about it moments ago, that there is a couple of books coming out later this year that are going to continue the story of Halo Infinite, and it's going to be a self-contained Master Chief and Cortana story, right? That's awesome. Like I said, Kay will agree with me here. If there's any complaint about Halo Infinite, we didn't get any closure, at least in my opinion. You got the game to end, sure, but what happened to Locke? What happened to Team Osiris? There's so many unanswered questions, and we're never going to get the answers to them because they literally just said, "Well, it's a hard stop," and they didn't really say they were rebooting, right? So here is Combat Evolved. They're making it to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the game. That makes perfect sense. So this could be a self-contained one and done kind of a release. It's Unreal Engine 5. It looks amazing. It plays amazing. We all relive our childhood dreams in this new and what Halo used to look like to what it looks like now, which I would imagine Unreal Engine 5, it's going to look freaking stunning. But the question that I have is, what happens next, Hargeet? Look, I know that Halo for a lot of people has fallen off. It has not fallen off for me. Yeah, I'm not playing Infinite as much or really at all in recent months. But that doesn't mean that Halo as a franchise is not important to me. And I really want to see this franchise come back in a big way. But the question is, can it? What do you think, Hargeet?
Well, I mean, look, we're all expecting at least something from Halo, right? Like I don't know what the other IP would be, right? Phil said we're gonna, have Gears, Forza, Fable, and a game that's a franchise that's been with us since the beginning. I'm just guessing that's Halo, and it kind of makes sense. And I think you're right. That's probably like the sort of remake or reboot of whatever you want to call it of the original Halo Combat Evolved. But like with Gears, we got Gears, the first game got a little remake, or remaster, or whatever you want to call it, in UE5, coming out now. And then, we have E-Day coming. There could be an equivalent in what's happening with Halo. The question is, how far are they from actually doing a campaign piece? I agree. I think they have so much they can do with Halo Infinite, or at least they don't have to use Halo Infinite, but continue that story, right? There's
I agree.
That entire, was it 4 other people? Was it 4 or 5 generals that were under Atriox, and you basically did the first, and then you were supposed to be able to go do the next, and then continue that story, right? So there's a lot there, and to your point, there's a huge universe here. There's obviously so many other things you could do with it. Just like we talked about, like Spartan Survivors. There's so much you could do with that franchise. The question is, what do they want to do with it? You also don't want to go to crazy levels where you get like franchise fatigue, right? But it would be nice to have some little offshoots here and there, like ODST, right? Was done right after Halo 3. You had ODST, which was kind of taking that engine moving forward, just doing a little bit more with it in a different format, a different, like maybe venue, right? It's ODSTs instead of Spartans, or Master Chief, and it's in a setting where it felt more maybe I don't know, suspenseful or horror based instead of just hey, I'm a badass, I can just go do stuff, right? And that was pretty cool. It was a nice little diversion, but great game, right? It followed up. Was it a year later, something like that? 2 years later, something. I think it was like a year later. Pretty cool, right? So they could do something like that, and just go to a different direction. Like you said, there's there's all sorts of things you could do. The question is, do they want to do that or not, right? And maybe they need to kind of reprove that they can do Halo. I'm just looking at the other side, and I'm like, people seem to think that it's easy to continue these things. Well, where's Bungie these days? They're not looking so good. I'm just saying. Everybody seems to think it'd be awesome if Bungie was doing it, but Bungie doesn't seem to be able to do anything themselves. So I I still think Infinite was a great game. I enjoyed it. The one piece that annoyed me the most was just not launching with co-op. That's a no-no. Just don't bother. Never do that again. Like that is not a feature. That's a requirement. Just like always make sure that co-op is there from the beginning. So, and I don't care if it'd be nice if it was couch co-op, but at least do online co-op. So that's got to be there. And whatever they do with that story, I hope they just continue with what we've already had. And a lot of people do not want Chief. I don't know who these people are, but good for them.
Thank you.
No, I
very
want
much,
Chief,
sir. Yes,
I want Chief. To me, that is the Halo story, right? It's Chief.
Do you know who a lot of these people are? BV, Black Viking. I'm calling you out, sir.
Yes,
he and I have arguments all the time.
Anti-Chief, man. He wants Chief
No
DOA, bro. Like, oh no.
No, I would say for those folks, we should have different venues for them as well, right? So there should be games that kind of use that universe in different ways, and I'm all for that. I have no problem with that, but don't tell me Chief is gone. I need Chief going forward. I need to continue that story, and I want to see what happens, right? So I don't think the Chief story is over at all. So like I want to see that continue. But hey, I'm all for other things. Absolutely. Let's bring other capability, other formats, like we just got the Spartan Survivors things. Absolutely. Let's do other things. Fair enough, right? But don't tell me Chief's story is over. I want to see that continue on. So, and I would love to continue the Infinite storyline. It just seems like it's ripe for just continuing it. It was great. They could have done a little bit more, but there were a lot of like weird things going on in the background, and so why it was the way it was. I still think they pulled off something crazy. So it's good. But I don't know why they haven't communicated more, but maybe they're just kind of hunkering down and saying we just got to figure out what we're doing first, right? And changing engines, making sure the gameplay's right, all that stuff. It's going to be interesting, right? And remember, this is also multiplayer, so they have to get that piece right. They pulled together quite a miraculous thing with Halo Infinite, even though co-op wasn't there when they released it. It came out with a lot of acclaim. It won the User's Voice Game of the Year from Jeff Keighley's awards, right? That is a hell of a thing to do. Okay, and so they came out at like a potentially totally disastrous thing too. They pulled it the fuck off. Sorry for the F-bomb there, but they did. And now I just want them to just make something, continue that path. I don't think they have a problem making the game. I think they have a problem with the leadership making decisions correctly and letting it go. It seemed to just deviate and have problems. Let's do this and then fails, and this and fails, and they don't. And this is all internal stuff that you guys don't really know about. They have just had a lot of development annoyance, which if they can consolidate that, and it seems like they are with their new leadership in place, good. Now, let's see what they can pull off with it. If they give us this awesome reboot, fantastic. I would love to see that teaser along with it, just like we had for E-Day. Show me that teaser. Don't do it at Gamescom. That would be really annoying. You can do it at Game Awards, but really, I want to see
the Keighley seems like the one that if you're gonna,
if you're gonna do it there.
Yeah,
but
no, I agree.
But June Showcase is where I want to see it. Show me that next. Here's what Halo's bringing, and I want to see that next story. That I definitely want to see Halo. It was what I was hoping would end the show this year, but that's not what happened. It was Call of Duty.
Yep.
Okay, Asante called it right. It was Call of Duty that ended the show. But they did not bring Halo at all. So fair enough. They're not ready to show something. They're not ready to show something. That's fine. I as far as that reboot, I don't necessarily care where they show it. That could be at Keighley's at Gamescom. Fine, whatever. Because it's just a sort of a reboot of Combat Evolved, which is great. It's awesome. But what I want is the continuation. I want the next big storyline, right? Let's go and let's see what they do with that. So we are getting the story in a novel, right? They're going to make a book out of it, right? Fine.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, literally, it's going to be a self-contained story with as soon as Infinite ends, this book is supposed to take up.
Yep. And that doesn't mean they can't do that in the game as well, right? Or they could say, okay, that's done. We'll recap that for you as the beginning of the next game, and then let's move forward, right? I don't know what they're going to do, but we will see. But I think it's right there, right? Like you have the many generals under Atriox, just make the next storyline, the next one that you have to take down. That gives you the next combat, sorry, the next campaign section, and then the next one, and the next one. We were hoping that's what you got with Infinite, right? That they would just come up with like a seasonal update, and here, like they've done with Destiny, right? Here's the next big campaign thing that comes with the next season. Here's the next big campaign thing that comes with the next season, right? So that has not been what they did, but they absolutely could do that. I think the problem is they wanted to switch over to Unreal, and now that they're kind of in the middle of that switch, I don't know what they're going to do with Infinite, right? That's kind of the big question mark, right? Do they bring Infinite into UE? Do they leave it on the current slip space engine and continue development there? I don't know, right? This is all stuff they have to figure out. So we'll see where it goes. I don't want to wait multiple more years. I would love to see something soon.
Yes, me too.
I'm certain we'll get that Halo reboot next year, probably as a console launch thing, right? So if there are going to come next gen consoles next year, probably a console launch thing. I think Phil wanted to fulfill that, right?
Yep.
We were supposed to do that with series consoles, but that did not happen, right? But maybe this time that will happen. So we will see, right? So, but that's kind of my thoughts. I definitely want to see a Chief thing. I don't mind them working with other studios to come up with a side project that could give you something different. And there's plenty of opportunity there, plenty of opportunity. So I don't know what they have been looking at. Maybe they have something in the works we just don't know.
Yeah,
right?
It's possible. It certainly is. I mean,
right?
they've been super close to the vest, dude. So maybe they do. Look, I think Hargeet, you're onto something, and I'm right there with you. Halo is Chief. Chief is Halo, and well, I want Halo to have Chief. Sorry if you don't. If you think that he's old and he's tired and he's withered, I hear you. He's also a Superman. He's like he's a super soldier. So yeah, he lives on forever. And will he eventually find his end? I don't know. Hopefully, I will not be alive when that happens. But
so for all those folks, do they want to swap out Doom Guy?
Maybe. Some people may say, yeah, it's new, it's fresh blood, so he'll chainsaw somebody. Look, great points all around. Keasante, you and I are, and I think Hargeet as well, are on the same page about Chief. We were both disappointed about Halo Infinite, its ending. And it's not so much the ending that was bad. The ending was great, right? Yeah. We learned. Again, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone if you didn't beat it. There's some big stuff happening at the end. You're going to want to check that out if you're a fan of the brand. The problem is that there's no continuation after that. There's no
nothing
DLC.
Else. Yeah, you're done. You're done.
Literally, it's just a cliff that has a bottomless pit, and you just keep falling. And you know what? I think Halo is better than that. I honestly do. Let's get your thoughts on what happens with Halo moving forward.
And the funny thing about all this is the tagline is "Finish the fight," and that dude never seems to finish the fight.
Yeah, there you go.
it's, for some of us, and I say this facetiously all the time, but I kind of sort of mean it, but not really, but I really do. Halo is dead because I have not had a campaign in my favorite IP in ages at this point. Right? Ages. And the odd thing is, say what you will about Infinite, it was so good from a gameplay perspective. It was so good from a moment-to-moment perspective that I had beaten and played through the Master Chief story, I'd say over 12, 13 times. But after Infinite, I haven't been able to go back because there's no grapple shot. Somebody got to mod the grapple shot back in. That's the problem, right? They've done a great job and they put their foot down, as it were. But unfortunately, then they left those of us who love the campaign high and dry because there have not been any stories in that world after. Now, I will say I'm happy to hear that they're actually putting that story someplace, because when they really take when they take it seriously, the lore and storytelling in Halo has been pretty great. Right. And I agree with the sentiments all around that while some of the story has been told pretty well, not all of the story has been told pretty well. Right. I too want to know what the hell happened to Locke. I too want to know, where is a lot of the stuff left?
Where's all of Team Osiris? There's so many unanswered questions.
Exactly. Right. So I, for one, am happy that they're doing this. Right. But for me, go further. Let's tie these stories together. Let's tie these two things together. I bet there are many indie teams who would love their chance at an ODST if they were given the chance. That ODST, fun fact, ODST was made in 6 months.
Yes, it was.
6 months.
6
right?
months the game was made, and guess what? It's
That
brilliant.
world, yes, that world can never exist anymore. We can't expect them to make games in 6 months, but I would love more stories in this world. And if it's not only Halo Studios that's going to make it, like contract somebody else to do it. Use the same engine. What you were talking about, Boom, is the thing that worries me so much. Have you noticed? And this is another game of a generation that I'll talk about in what do you call it? Cyberpunk 2077. They moved away from their engine, the red engine, went to Unreal Engine 5, and then you heard them say, well, we're done making any updates, we're done with it, right? And then what happened? A change of management happened, and they went, nah, fam, we're actually continuing to do more content. There's more content coming. I don't know if you guys heard, but Virtuos, the one that released the Oblivion, is now in charge of making more content for them, right? They recognize that this IP, yes, it had a horrible start or whatever, but now it's caught its stride. People love it. People want more, so they're giving you more, right? Like, I just need more in this world. And this idea of, well, we're moving to Unreal Engine 5, so we're going to just orphan all the past stuff. That's just not understanding what the people want, right? I get that the people are looking for multiplayer content. It took some time to get there. And now, by all accounts, it seems like it's still firing on all cylinders. People love that, right? And I think that's great, right? I will be there for day one when inevitably they release the what do you call it, the Unreal version of Halo, right?
Yeah.
But before we get there, right, there's still a couple years in the tank. I would love some more content in Halo, but to get back to the point at hand, I do think that it's about time. It's definitely about time, right? What would be a great way to start off a new pivot in a generation? Because, you know, let's be clear here, they've pivoted, right? They are now everywhere. They have hardware, but they got handhelds, and the games are everywhere, and it's on PlayStation. They have pivoted. They are in a new world. This is the new look for them, right? This is new for them. And it seems like all of their IPs, all of their the Holy Trinity that some call it, others call it the hamburgers, fries, and shake, Halo, Gears, and Forza, right? It looks like all of them are primed for a remake, remaster, new entry, and it's coming in towards this new generation. So to me, it would be the perfect like cherry on top if this gen shows up, however it materializes, whether it be like, you know, with third-party support, first-party hardware, whatever they choose to do, and then as part of that liftoff, as part of that new launch, Halo, Gears, and Forza. That would be fantastic. So I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, great points all around. I see a lot of people. Who said it? It's one of our favorite. Big Mad Mo. He's tired of Chief. He's been saying that for years. He wants a chiefless Halo.
Yes, he was in the chat when Black Viking was spitting his venom about Master Chief. They were even talking about a Halo Chief dating sim. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Keep the Chief pure. Huh? There is none of that.
No one's ever going to forget Master Cheeks. So, I mean,
don't do that. Don't do that.
It's ruined.
That's a whole different conversation, sir.
It certainly is. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we have another 30 minutes. Again, we're going to try and do a 90-minute show, get on out of here, because one, it's hot, and two, it's been a day. It's actually been a week, to be honest with you. But look, we all agree, and not all of us, Halo has to be a part of Xbox. I don't know how they get back to what they were when you mentioned Xbox. You thought of Master Chief and Halo. When you talk about a Master Chief and Halo, you thought about Xbox. Can they ever get back there, folks? I don't know. What I do know is that Halo is going to be out next year. It is probably going to be the rumored reboot of the original game, which of course is Halo Combat Evolved. We just have to see where Halo Studios is going to take the franchise next. I agree with Hargeet. I think that even if you change engines, you still can continue the story of Infinite. I think there is a lot of story left. Maybe they again, I put it this way. I would not want to be in charge to try and figure out what the future is, because again, they hard stopped on Halo Infinite, right? They said, this is what it is. They put it out. Somehow it miraculously released. It was great. The grapple shot is the greatest thing in video games outside of the shotgun, and Halo multiplayer still a thing. But we will certainly see. But gentlemen, I want to pick your brains. But before I actually do that, I want to thank a gentleman that we had dinner with, Kay Asante and Hargeet Chani, BT Maverick 707, which, by the way, drove
Shout out to
6
BT Maverick.
hours to come hang
Yes, he
out with
did.
us. And he has gifted 1 Double Barrel Gaming membership. Brother, it's great to have met you in real life, in person, IRL, as the kids like to say. And thank you so much for the generosity. We also have Sante Lou in the chat. Says, just happy to be here. Well, Santi, thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. We appreciate it. But
Shout
thank
out
you so much
to the great Santi. Santi's a great
Yes.
member of our Discord.
So
member of the
this is
GCP
one of the
Discord.
many stories you tell me about that you have in the Discord. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
But Santi, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the generosity. Gentlemen, I want to pick your brains. Chat, I want to pick your brains. Okay? I've already said my piece for Gamescom, but I do want to add a caveat to what you've already heard me talk about. And I'm going to make those into smaller videos, but it's just been super busy here at the house, and it's been hot. Like, honestly, when I'm done with the shows, I don't want to do anything. It is freaking ridiculous hot. It's been just a week of ridiculous hell heat, and hopefully that ends tomorrow, so I'll get back to my normal ways. I want to address Sin in the chat. Sin, you're upset about Ninja Theory and the 60 frames. We are going to talk about that tomorrow. C-Money and I are going to bring some smoke. At least I have smoke for him, because I love Ninja Theory. I hate the way this story has just rolled into this ugly... Hellblade 2 is a masterclass release in storytelling and the use of Unreal Engine 5, and it's probably the best graphics I've personally ever seen. And I was okay with 30. I didn't condone it, but they said 30, so I played it at 30. I enjoyed it. I beat it twice to get all the achievements. I loved every second of it. It is a masterclass level release, Sin, but this whole 60 frame thing, it's kind of stanky, to be honest with you. I don't like what's going around, and there's some smoke to be given. And what makes everything worse is that they don't announce these 60 frames until it's released for PlayStation 5. And I think that ultimately is the black eye, to be honest. We're going to get into that, but my thoughts, and this is just, conjecture. This is just my opinion on why I believe that Xbox has something special lined up for Gamescom. Not because they were there in a big way last year, Hargeet and Kay. They are celebrating. They are moving the 10th anniversary of Xbox Fanfest, and they are celebrating it there. Now, why do I think that's a big deal? Well, it's the 10th anniversary of FanFest. And I think when you say FanFest, most people will equate that with Xbox fandom. But the reason why, and I said this to Kay, and I think, Kay, I'm going to bring this back up to you in a second after we hear from what Hargeet has to say. There's a reason why they are going to be, not only are they going to Gamescom and going to have a big presence as they did last year, but why FanFest is going to be a big part of it. The 10th anniversary, you and I talked about it. I want to get your thoughts and theories, but Hargeet, this is a big show, all right? It's one of 3 big shows left of the year. Again, I talked about it to open up the show. Start off the summer, or the finish off the summer, I should say. It's Gamescom, August 20th through the 24th, right? There's going to be a lot of stuff there. Xbox is going to be in a big way. And of course, you have Tokyo Game Show in September, and then in December, you have the Keeleys. This is an opportunity for Xbox to show out once again. And I say this, and some people are going to try and clip this and say, oh, you're console warring. I'm not. They have the boot on the neck of the industry right now. Just look at their releases. And if you think I'm kidding here, what has been PlayStation's biggest releases this year? Nothing from PlayStation. It's been all Xbox. So they do, in fact, have the boot on the neck of the industry. And they haven't even gotten to Switch 2 yet. And I don't know when that's going to happen, but it's going to be happening, I would imagine, soon enough. Switch 2 is out. They're going to make some announcements. Who knows what goes there? But, Hargeet, do you think that Xbox has anything left in the tank to bring with them to Gamescom? And do you think that because it's the 10th anniversary, all eyes, they're making this into a ginormous party. It's a big celebration with the fans, and not just all the fans, you think, folks. But what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. Well, so they have plenty of things in the tank. Obviously, they have plenty of potential things that they could show. I don't know that they go all out. We will see what happens, but
okay,
my guess is it'll be minor things. I think it'll be much more focused towards PlayStation fans, much more than Xbox fans, just like last time. Look, the majority of people in Europe, they don't touch Xbox. That's just the way it is, and so you have to kind of go to the fans that are there and say, well, this is what we got for you. Because remember, they are a publisher of games on everything, right? So they're going to try to go to the fans there and say, hey, this is what we've got for you. And so you're probably going to see things like, maybe Starfield is released on PlayStation. Okay. So that might come up. Something else might go to PlayStation. Yep. Okay. There you go. Right. That's probably what you'll see. Will they have
Starfield announcement?
Yeah. So it could be like, we are due the next DLC for Starfield. Right, so Starfield going to PlayStation might also coincide with Starfield having the next DLC. Right, that could be something that you see. So I wouldn't expect a lot from them. From like, here's a brand new game that we haven't announced. It could happen, but it's not very likely. So we'll see. Maybe they do something there. They absolutely could. They have plenty of games. The question is, what do they have that they could give you updates on? I've always said this is a good place to talk about Contraband. It's a European studio. Maybe they say, hey, this is coming to everything now. let's try to get as many customers from the European theater as well, right? So stuff like that could come up, right? I don't know if they're ready or not, whatever it is, right? So those are the kind of things that I would see, potentially being there. As far as a celebration, I'm not hearing that it's actually like a very large celebration. I don't know if it's like out there or not, but I think it's supposed to be like 100-ish people plus their plus ones. So not quite what we usually get out on this side. So I don't know. We'll see what they're looking to do there. I don't know how many people are going to actually go to the Fan Fest, right? Apply to the Fan Fest. And is it going to be Europe focused or is it everybody? Because I got the email in the US. I don't know if Santa, you got it. Boom, you got an email from them. But they are kind of sending it to people everywhere. So
yes,
it's not going to be a lot though. It's not as big as previous ones that are over here at least. And they've been dwindling as it is, right? So last year, was pretty small in comparison to the year before, and it's been dwindling, right? But it was still substantially bigger than what it looks like they're going to do over there. Again, that's just what I understand of it. I could be wrong, but like that is kind of what I hear. So, I also don't think they're coming back to LA next year either. So that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here.
Well, we'll
we will
see.
There. Yeah. So we will definitely like the community one that we did. We will continue to do that. That will definitely be there. So we will definitely, and we're already planning it out. So it'll be there. It'll be much bigger. So either way, but the one they're doing in Gamescom, I don't know what they're going to do with it. We will see. So if there's something interesting there, it is the 10th anniversary of FanFest, but it's not the 10th anniversary of Xbox or something like that. So
that's true.
Next year is the fun one, where it's the 25th anniversary of Xbox itself, of many of their big franchises, right? So they have some anniversaries there as well. So I we will see what they want to do with that. But I'm I guess I'm not as convinced it'll be a big thing. That's really just all where my head's at. But it could be something. Maybe they announce something major like new hardware or something. That would be awesome. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's too early to do that now. But hey, they can surprise us. That Yeah, the thing is that what you think is stupid and impossible is sometimes the best thing to do.
No, it's true.
It shocks the system, right? And like then you suddenly just get what the heck just happened, and and that just changes some of the tone. Remember the beginning of the generation when they announced at the TGAs, that was a shocking thing to do, and it really did like create a lot of buzz for the originally when the series came out, series consoles. It had a lot of momentum behind it. It's the execution that screwed up when they didn't have a game, Halo, that got delayed. Right, that was supposed to be the game. That was supposed to be the game that launched with that system, and that would have been fantastic that fall to have that game come out and be in a playable state. Unfortunately, it was not even close to ready. So as it is, they miraculously got it together the next year, but then didn't have content afterwards, right? So so it was to the wire. You could tell because otherwise they'd have that content ready to roll. They didn't. So it was definitely down to the wire. They got whatever they got done. They got it done, right? But so we will see. We will see what they do. Could they announce it? Absolutely, they could. Will they? That's the part that's interesting, right? We did not get a Forza announcement yet. Somebody named Phil Spencer talked about a Forza being ready next year. So we didn't get any announcement. We didn't talk about the other game that was there from the beginning, but we talked about Forza coming next year. How does that happen? There's no announcement for a Forza game. So what game is coming next year? So it's very interesting that was announced without any ceremony there. Because where's the announcement of the game there, Phil? You just kind of told us there's a Forza coming. So like that could be there. And the Forza that I would expect to be coming is Forza Horizon. Playground 6. is in Europe. So, could it be that they're saying, hey, you know what, let's have Playground show up there. They have Fable coming. They have Forza coming. Could they do something like that? Yes. Will they? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
it's great point. It would be a good idea for them to start leveraging Gamescom to try to attract more European customers. On the other side of this whole argument is that they're trying to push away from their European theater as being first party presence, right? We hear that they're pulling away their divisions over there, and so like, okay, well, which is it? Do you care about that region or not? And so we will see what they do, right? To me, it would be fantastic for them to say, yo, here's some games. We just gave you Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation. You seem to love it. Here's a new one. Would you like to play this? Right. And along with that, here's one of our other long-time franchises, Fable. Here you go. So they could do these things. It's up to them to decide to do it. They up to now have not. Right now, if they want to be bold, great time to do it. Be bold. Go do it. Right. I just don't know that they're going to do that.
It's good. You're walking a path that is. It's almost like we had a conversation, and folks, we didn't. Like we did not have this conversation, but Kay Asante and I had this conversation, and man, it just goes to show you when you work together long enough, you kind of just vibe from one another. And I really like what Hargeet is vibing. And look, folks, I hate to have to keep saying this, but there's going to be someone I'm like, oh, see, boom, no, you're on the side of multiplat, folks. The reality is that has happened. The ship has sailed. Don't drown in the harbor. Get on the ship and just go. And, you mentioned the European audience. The European audience used to be an Xbox 360 audience for years. They had it locked, key, thrown away in the safe. And then, of course, the Xbox One happened, and, well, things happened, right? And prior to going live, my thought and theories were almost identical to what Hargeet said about taking this audience, that is your PlayStation audience, and embracing them. And here's my thoughts. And Kay and I were on the same page here. I'm not going to sit here and say I wasn't upset that there's no FanFest here in the Americas. And I understand why. Because this FanFest is not for just the Xbox player, ladies and gentlemen. It is for the PlayStation player because they are Xbox gamers now. And this is gonna sour some people when they put this puzzle together. And I understand that if you're still in your fields, I listen, folks, I get it. It's a wacky world we're living in right now. You know, cats and dogs are hanging out, and it's just wacky. How does that happen? But it happens. And I really think, Kay, that when again, this is just my thoughts and theories, the reasoning for FanFest, celebrating the 10th anniversary of FanFest, which could ultimately be the end of it, is to celebrate with Xbox gamers who are still in Europe, but also to invite in the PlayStation community that have now become Xbox gamers because they are buying their content in bulk. Every time Xbox releases a game on PlayStation, if it has 2 versions, those 2 versions are in the top 10 or top 15 paid for.
True.
If they have 3 versions, the 3 versions are in the top 10 or 15. Again, PlayStation gamers, not trolls, not console warriors, just people that want to play games. What are your thoughts on this? And with that said, with what Hargeet had to say, do you think there's a chance that they could bring something to the table because they will ultimately be addressing potential new customers?
So it's very interesting that that conversation is brought about as far as having overtures to the European audience. Like, remember the day when, and I know it's notorious, people have it in their minds, infamous, and guess what's coming to PlayStation? That whole thing. Yes. I was in the room when he announced that, right? I was there, not too far behind him. And like after that had happened, right? Obviously, I think it's 6 hours ahead of Germany to the States. I happened to jump on my Discord at the time to hear what the conversation was, and of course, it was World War III, right? But I will tell you, it played very differently in that place. Yeah. And as we do, we talk to people, right? We're content creators. We people see me with my GCP stuff on. They're like, hey, he's a content creator. So I asked questions and I interviewed people and spoke to people. Like, a lot of people didn't even think Xbox existed out there, which is hilarious, right? Like they weren't aware that Xbox as a brand, as a platform, was as solidified and was as available as it was there. Right. And when they saw it, they didn't see it in a fledgling way. They saw it with Game Pass logos that are the size bigger than a 6 foot man. Right. Plastered on walls that are just like it's just crazy. Right. So honestly, a lot of their conversations were like, yo, this is awesome. I didn't even know they were still around. And I can't wait to play these games. And it actually took in that audience. Right now, will that mean that people are going to go out there and start buying consoles? Doubtful.
No.
Doubtful, right? Because we live in a different world now. Yeah. We just do, right? We're not all like me with the gray beards, right? We're not like us, right? The kids want to play on these things. They want to play on these tablets, and they want to play on the non-touch screens, and they see a controller and they go, ooh, and we're just like, are you playing on touch screens? That's just gross. It just is what it is. So they are threading the needle and kind of meeting you where you live. And if you want to be that tablet heathen, that's you, right? If you want to be the ascended ones with controllers, hey, that's cool too, right? That's what they are trying to accomplish. And at least to me, like from what I heard last year, it seems like that message was resonating. And even last year, they didn't have that much for the ecosystem outside of PlayStation, outside of Xbox rather. Now they got a whole lot to say everywhere, to your point, right? Everywhere you go, any app store that exists where games live, they're like, yeah, we know where that app store is and we own it. That's where they are today. So I have a feeling that we really need to see what they do at Gamescom this year, because I have a feeling that they may be strutting their stuff a little different, because they really can tell the tale now. They couldn't tell the tale as much last time. Now, I do agree with you. I do have a little bit of not trepidation, but I'm a little bit taken aback that when they want to do this celebration that's in Germany specifically, because you would think if they're doing an anniversary of FanFest, it would be where FanFest started.
And that would be PAX West or PAX Prime, correct? Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right, because as I understand it, and the great Hargeet Chani can weigh in and tell me differently, because he's been going to these things far more than me. As I understand it, it is a grassroots thing that began at PAX West that they kind of kindled and turned into an official thing. So if there is an official anniversary, I would have thought, you would think that it would have been held there, like back at where it started. But hey, they move differently, and it is what it is, right? So, like, I'm excited to see what is announced at Gamescom, right? You know me, I'm all about the speeds and feeds and the techies and the indie games and all that. And it looks like if it's anything like it was last year, boy, holy crap, sea of human beings, only to be dwarfed by all of the great like content they show there. So yeah, like I genuinely think it's going to be very, very fun.
Well, I mean, listen, I in my heart believe that there is an opportunity, and maybe that opportunity comes the way of a big announcement at Gamescom. I mean, Gamescom at Keeley's event, and maybe they don't bring anything new to the table for Gamescom. Is that possible? Sure.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, remember what the great Brad Sam said. If he's true, if it's true, and I don't know if people caught that, like historically, last time they did this whole song and dance, they did we're going next gen, and then that same year during the Keeleys, we saw Hellblade 2 and the hardware. That happened exactly the same way it's seeming to happen.
I heard
now.
People actually talking about that in the community, not in the so much the Discord. I'm sure that was a conversation, but I actually saw people literally line up the timeline, and it's almost identical.
So we don't know. But if history repeats, and these guys like to repeat themselves, right? Who knows? But if it does line up, you should see something from them this year.
Oh man, all I know is that Xbox is probably going to close out the year in a big way. What that big way is, well, as we get closer to the end of the year and get the hell out of the summer, because I don't know about you folks, I hate the heat, and I can't wait. You know what's happening this week that gets me excited? July 1st, and that means that we only have 2 months left of the summer. I'm very excited. I can't wait to get to July to get the F out of here. Get to August. August, get the F out, and bye. See you later. I want Blizzard.
This is straight up graybeard talk you're doing right now. Kids, go summertime. We're getting out of school. We're going to the pool. This man's like, get the sun out of here. Graybeard. We need sweaters.
Get the F out of here, son. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fun show. Again, I thought it was pretty engaging, to be honest with you. A lot of back and forth. A lot of really good topics. Again, news is starting to slow down. So obviously when you have 5 shows, sometimes you got to get inventive. I really like the Halo conversation, to be honest with you. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But I thought it was necessary to ask some questions. We don't have any answers because I literally looked up and I typed in to AI, Halo, news in 2025. And the only thing I got is, well, they're working on Unreal Engine 5 with Halo. That's all I got. So they've been keeping it super close to the vest. It's fine. But I just thought it was an interesting conversation. Again, shout out to Sin in the chat. He had brought up regarding the smoke that a lot of people in the community are having for Ninja Theory, specifically with Ninja Theory's Hellblade 2 getting 60 frame mode, which is great. But that 60 frame mode is coming to Xbox the same day it's coming to PlayStation. I know a lot of people don't like that. There was talk about, we can't do 60 frames. This is our vision. We wanted to make it 30 because it's our cinematic. We're going to get into all of that. I don't know what the second topic is. I have a bunch of stuff. As a matter of fact, I think I might get into Call of Duty because there's been some big talk of Black Ops 7, and I got a laundry list of things that they're going to be bringing to it. I'm very excited for it. But, folks, we're going to get on out of here. Hargeet, let's sell the brand, brother. You wrote a book last year called Emergence, and I'd love people to read it. I'd love people to buy it from Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, or your favorite bookstore. And also, well, Hargeet does have, in fact, a YouTube channel that he puts content on, and I'd like to see more people subscribe. Sell the brand, brother.
Yeah, so my channel, if you want to subscribe, Hargeet21, and then if you want to pick up my book, if you haven't already heard about it, Emergence, shop.china.us. And I'll probably be on with I think we're still on for Friday with C Money and Doodle, on Point for Gamers. Check that out, 8ish, somewhere around there, PM US Eastern Time. And then I think we're on with Fonts should be back, so we'll do that this Saturday at 7 p.m. and then Web Dave 7 p.m. on Sunday. Check those out. And we'll see what happens next week. We'll be back here.
Listen, I think it's probably going to be stuff happening at the end of the week. There's news. There's just not major news, and that makes sense because obviously there's a lot. People are starting to go on vacation. School is ending, graduations, things of that nature. So there's not a lot of news. But folks, if you tune into the shows, trust me when I tell you, we'll have stuff to talk about. And it looks like we're going to have an ensemble cast for Friday's Breakfast at Boom. Again, we don't know. I usually write the show in advance because there's that much news. I'm going to have to get a little inventive and go back and start looking at stuff that I never got to. But Que Asante, let's sell the brand of the Gaming Circle podcast, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you and Everborn Saga, talk it up with the guys. Occasionally you have guests on. I don't know what you're going to get into this weekend. Maybe it's some more Gamescom talk. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll get some more information on who could possibly be there. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people subscribe? And more importantly, follow you on social media?
So first and foremost, thanks as always to all the great people who always show up in this chat. We always have a great time chatting it up with you guys. Myself, Everborn, we're on the GCP. We do it every week. This week, the last couple of weeks, we've been picking apart the handheld and what it looks like, and the software and the hardware stack, and this, that, and the third. There have been other hardware vendors out there, other handheld makers, like front end makers, some of them doing DIY, super interesting stuff, trying to get some of them to come on the show and maybe talk about why they went, screw it, Microsoft isn't doing it, we're going to make it ourselves. Nice. We have a few interesting folks that are in the community that are doing some cool work. So you might see more of that stuff from us. I started showing some of the handheld UIs, and people seemed interested in seeing what that looked like, because clearly not everyone has all these handhelds to see what they look like. So I've been doing that.
You have a problem, kind sir.
Sir, no, it's not a problem. I promise. I can handle it. Sure, I can. Anyway. But yes, come check us out. TK Asante on all the places we communicate. I would also say follow us on. Come find us on Discord. You can check out the YouTube channel where you can get linked to the Discord if you want to be a part of that community. Very fast growing. We're getting so many members in our Discord now. It's really awesome. Come check us out. Obviously, safe space, all that, this, that, and the third. So you can come.
The Discord is awesome. It's packed with so many amazing humans. Yeah. And there's no trolls. It's heavily monitored, so there's no D-bags in there to muck it up for everybody. It's just a bunch of old men talking about video games and having a good time. I've been there a couple times.
I will correct you, sir.
Yes.
It's older individuals, because we have both male and female members in our Discord.
My mistake. Yes, there you go.
So thank you very much. Shout out to all the great Discord members. And if you want to be a member, you can come and join us. It's a free thing, as you know. You can jump in. But yeah, man, thank you guys so much as always.
Appreciate everyone being here. Thank you so much for the gifted membership and the super chat that popped in here. Miguel Santos asked a great question. You know what? We'll talk about this tomorrow, Miguel. He says, do you guys think the new Xbox the new Xbox generation, we will be able to get the PlayStation app on those consoles? The answer is no. I do not believe that is going to happen. There's absolutely no way that PlayStation would allow their app on there. That's something they would definitely block. What they won't be able to block, and
we'll see.
Okay,
we'll see.
Hargeet and I are rubbing our chin, sir.
We'll
our
see.
chin. That means something, sir.
We'll see.
Okay, all right. So this might be something that we have to revisit at some point.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to see just how much Windowsiness they will allow on the console.
Yeah.
Because understand that the apps that are running there right now are Windows 8 apps.
Are Windows
apps?
Yes.
All those like Netflixes and all that stuff. That's all Windows 8 apps. They're Windows apps or Windows 10 at this point apps.
Yeah.
So could it happen? Yes.
And actually,
happen?
I will even go one other step and say there are lots of stores. Like when you go to your Windows store right now, when you go to the store inside Xbox, there are lots of games, stuff you can't download, but you can literally go to the actual browser and download stuff to the Xbox app, the Xbox store that shouldn't be downloadable because it's just the app store. So the idea is a little, it should be an interesting conversation. Let's put a pin in that one.
Yes, and remember, you can go to dev mode and have a little bit more fun.
Yeah,
you can do a lot of stuff in dev mode.
Yeah.
So there are things you can do.
Well, again, this I'm going to put a pin in this. I've just taken a screenshot of this, Miguel. So we will be shouting you out, kind sir, and talking about this on a future podcast. Shout out to Torino Johnson. Have a great night, brother. Thanks so much for being here, Torino. Super appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. Again, if you enjoyed the conversation, hit the like button on your way out the door. Share this on social media if you're feeling super generous. And, of course, if you are not already subscribed and you're interested in helping Mrs. Boom and I hit the next goal, which, of course, is 17,000 subscribers, you can help us by simply clicking on the on Double Barrel Gaming, subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell icon. Folks, I do this 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. All great content, and we have fun doing it. But, of course, I'm going to close up the show with something that's incredibly important to me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids, and it would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated, and also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.